Hello. I'm no cam streaming today for sure. Let me see if I can turn the music. Ooh. You know what? Maybe. Oh my god. Not what I meant to do. Let me just go back. Okay. What if I don't play music right away? Let me see what this game just sounds like. Ugh. Okay. I have been obsessed with this. It's called Whiskerwood. It's a city builder. Um, and I tried it on normal at first. So I've got my saves. I've got autism, and I've got autism too. I'm on Whoa, I didn't manual save for that long. Oopsies. Well, Autism 2, I have it on easy mode. So I can get familiar with all of the mechanics and stuff, and then I would like to get to the point where I can play it on normal. Normal, I kept getting my shit literally, like, ships would come, and shit was, like, shooting my houses with cannonballs. All of my mice in my little city hated me so bad, and then they, all died. So yeah. It feels just as tough as playing City Skylines, which I played so much of after Kagachi's hip replacement. Oh, it's already paused. What the heck? Freezing triage. Oh yeah, it just turned winter right before I had to go to therapy. I was playing this right up until like the last second. And I decided to stream with no cam because it's like, I low-key go like non-verbal playing games like this. So, gonna let myself do, or not do that, but you know, play some music and chill and chat, kiki over some freaking mice. The monarchy in this game are cats. Oh my gosh, I'm still getting used to the controls, and every time I stop playing for the day, I forget them. Oops. How do I see tax report? I thought it would show a picture of them. The clause, taxation and intimidation. So you can set different policies in your city. I'm gonna play music and just turn the game music off. Hold up. That. And honestly, I'm gonna put on my playlist as well, and then I'll switch after a bit. Okay. I swear my playlist only plays like a few of the same songs over and over. I've said that multiple times, but I think the shuffle is just cooked. Anyway, right before I went, it turned winter. I built, oops, I built this bridge across so I could start getting wood from over here because on this main island that I started on, I've built so high up that takes so long for the mice to get to, when this will be way more efficient. And then this has better soil underneath, so I built this farm here, but because it's winter, I guess I can farm through winter. I should put a heat thing there. Um, can't remember. It might be factories, coppersmith. Oh, it's here. Heat and utilities. Fire tender bonfire. Okay. If I put this right, maybe I'll put it right here. No, let me put it right here. Just because I want to give plenty of room over here for the actual plots to grow stuff on. So I'm going to build that there. I've got 2 going over here to work in Where's it at? Is it? Yeah. Wait, I thought I just set it for 2 to go there. Did I click a different one? Honestly, I don't need to do all that right now. Where is the other fire tender thing I set up? Hmm. Hmm. Okay, I put one right there. That covers all of that area. I'll put one in there. 'Cause that covers that whole side, and oh my god, it's so hard for me to tell in the winter with all the snow where the buildings are. That's it, yeah. And this covers this whole side. So they overlap just enough. Ooh, this being there. Actually put it then further this way. Then maybe I can end up moving the houses of those that live over. Like go like this, maybe. That'll cover a lot of the terrain. I'm gonna set it as high priority. Got a logistics hub. That person's swift or anything. Then I don't need anyone teaching right now. I finally have copper stuff that I just unlocked. So I've got this ore furnace. And I've got a charcoal furnace. This is making fuel. This is making copper. Okay. For this... Honestly, I'm gonna need fuel more frequently now since I'm still crafting. But I also need heat now. Let me turn this on. So I've had to make each like individual home. These plank row houses I unlocked later. So I've got those set up. I've got what else? This is my like town hall where you set policies, but I guess I could go straight into it. This is my central warehouse. You can see the breakdown of like goods that are stored in there. I have it set to all get supplied to different logistics, so like different businesses and stuff. I've got a fishing dock. Oops. Oh my god. My fishing dock. I've got a bathing dock. My smokery. Making smoked fish for the mice that live here. This is the main dock. Got flax spinner. Got a cafe. This is a research lab, which I need to set them to research something new. Like blockhouse versus abode. Honestly, I want to unlock more because, like, imagine elevators and stuff. That's going to be life changing. Better houses would probably be nice. Better homes. Ooh, I can make trains. Fuck. That'll be happening. Decorative fountains and stuff. Okay, I lied. I would rather invest those planks into this because then I'm going to end up wanting to build with stone. But, yeah. Let me start it. And then you just really have to manage everything. Yeah, I know some of these mice have really long paths right now. It's unfortunate. Earthworks, I stopped having them work on building out land on this. And the mice go across this. And I've got mice, hopefully... Ooh, actually, I might have... Where's the other... Workers will stockpile fuel and deliver to nearby fuelable heaters. That's the fire tender? Oh. So then I still have to put a fire next to this. Hold up. That is unfortunate. Okay, bonfire. That. And this can be... Right. Okay, wait. Where was that one? Right here? Then I need to put this, like, right here. And then I need heat over here for all these mice. So I'll put one right here. I'll put... Oh, that's why the range is there too. It's just to know how like large of an area it can supply it fuel to these fires. Put one right... Oh, placement blocked. Oh, it's farmland. That's why. One right there. And I will put one right. Yeah, I'll put it right here. And I'll put a fire right there. That means I also need a fire though by this stuff. I will put it right there. All right. Oh, and I need less mice working because I need them to be able to build. Let me see. Already none assigned there, there. Only one mouse per heater, I think, would be best. Oh. I have two of them fishing. And hopefully they get over here and start building this. Set high priority. Set high priority. And set high priority. Alright. See if they can take care of that fast enough. Logistics, set sources from there. I mean, probably from here too. Yeah, see how that just warmed up that whole area? Now I need these mice to go over here. Ooh, they are. Built this. And I'm gonna put down some paths now so I don't forget. I need a farmer over here too. Oh my god. Where are... Oh, it's night. That's why they're not doing it. Everyone's gonna be so mad that it was cold all day. Day 51. You can see all these different stats. The good things, the bad things. People were dirty, stinky, need baths. Ate raw food. Which I have a smoker now, so that shouldn't be happening for very much longer, but it had to for a bit.
We claws are a humble race. We rarely make such uncouth demands as may be our right. Yet it has come to the attention of the kingdom that too few colonies are repaying this humility with proper respect. Your colony has appeared on such a list. This
Lost
is your last
visage.
warning. Build 8 claw statues worthy of the grace we have shown the Whisker kind.
They haven't shown me shit, just so y'all know. But yeah, these mice are set to work at this foraging booth. They forage like flax right here, and then there's these berry bushes they'll also work with. Once this is warmed up... Crap, now they gotta go all the way back and get fuel. Yep, cannot find any work within range. About them. And move this then now to up here. Then they'll have work within range for sure. Getting up to those. Also, maybe I'll put... Well, I'll let them chop on those trees for a bit. Okay, this is good now. So, Alright, let me pause the game speed. Farm tool. I want mushrooms. Will they grow well over here? Absolutely not. Then, the berries? Will. Okay. I'm gonna put berries all right here. Because they do eat those. And then I'll have a bunch of trees growing, maybe. Like right here. Actually, I'll put them closer to the wood field stuff. Oh. Old, so those can't be planted there. Oop. Okay, well, I'll plant trees right here. And then these mushrooms won't grow anywhere. Okay. More flax. Honestly, a ton of berries too. Okay. These ones are too cold. These are good. Those ones are too cold. Okay, cool. Those should be good. And then maybe even some more trees. See, like the same song. Huh. Oops. All right. And then speed up time. Let that start. I have a warehouse down here. I assume for mushrooms, I must need to like make a cave and put them in there. And then this is the mining hut. I want to set for them to collect coal. Honestly, they've already got a lot set though that does have coal, so there. Got a fire by it. Gonna put a log campfire down there. Collecting some stuff. Action to the land. Communicate and document. Signpost. I don't need those. And this day, not the best in-game day I've had, since everyone's freezing. But what can you do? One right there. Have one. Okay, they can get up here. Put one right there too then. And the supplier is here, so I can pick what I want off the shipment. I'm gonna buy this just because I want those cloaks. With their resistance to the cold. I assume that'll be helpful. Oh, no available builders. I get rid of people doing that, and then also have someone leave the sawmill. Slow that process down a little bit, and someone can leave this sawmill. And then that's all going to be like dedicated to building now, all of them. I also need to put another fire right there. Oh, someone's sick. Someone's deathly ill. Whiskers dealing with a severe injury or illness. Injured Whiskers cannot work and must be treated at a triage building. Treatment is slow, but they may expire if not treated. Okay. Someone needs to work there. One or two people. And then let me just... The mining needs to keep happening. I don't know what I need planks for, truly. I get one of them out of there researching. Let me go up here and get someone out of this sawmill. And then all of them will run around building. And I'll also have people then in that medical triage. Logistics, set storage destination to that. It's closer. Uh-oh. Everyone is suffering. Food. I need another fire. I'll place one bonfire right where? Right here. Oh, and I need to build those statues. Yes, it is winter. Hey, Dak. What's up? What's up? What's up? What's up? Decor. Services. Like what? Paths and walkways. Maybe I need to research those statues. Better research. Hey, Cher. What's up? How are you? Oh man, I don't know where those statues are at. Decorations. They're not down here. Masonry. Oh shit. I had not noticed that previously, but oh well. I know in walkways there's like path decorations. Nope. Okay. And utilities. Decorations, no. Services, no. Housing, no. What the heck? What the hell? Okay. Does it tell me where those are? Of course not. That's right. I've heard that song so many times recently. 3 mice are deathly ill. Oh my god. Okay, I just need to put like even just a normal fire pit there for now. My mice are throwing right now. High priority on that one, cancel that one. And then maybe they'll prioritize the bonfire, I guess? Mm-hmm. These at least keep warm, but I just sworn I placed one like over here too. I guess not. It's it right there. And then I should have one less person mining for now, but I won't. Still need the stone cutters. I already have less fishermen. Okay, well that's warmed up at least, so people can start healing. And go to the hospital then. Where else is a sick mouse working, or is that all of them? I think that's all of them. And then just really cut back on construction for now. Oh, I can just add wood. Okay. I really need that mouse to give that one fuel. Oh. They probably already went back. Where's another one that I can have manned? I think all of them have someone in them. I must just not have enough fuel. Take one of them off that job for now. Okay, this will at least heat up a good amount of this area. Holy crap. I'm like killing all my mice again. Oh, one of them already healed in the medical tent. That's good. Need to build another bonfire as well. There. Or actually, need to put that like right here. Oh wait, there's that one though that just doesn't have fuel in it. Wonder if I need another bathing dock too, if that's the issue. And this is Rubble. Her name's Rubble. Let me see if I can find Rubble's house. This first try is wild. Okay, next in-game day, we need to move his cabin. Or move their cabin across the water. Because then they have like very little space to travel. Although they probably need to eat and bathe and stuff too, so I'll leave them where they're at. This one needs fuel. That would, like, put fuel in both of those fires. And then no one's sick right now, so I'm going to send them out to help. I'm going to have one other person work that, but I'll wait for now. I don't think they need to go fill it that frequently. Oop. Supply ship. Let me get... I feel like I should get this, because it's got the logs as well. This has the better cloaks, though, but I don't want to spend too much money. Yeah, let me... I'll do this one. Not the most expensive. They're going to be cold for that little chunk, but I don't really know what to do about that. And then this is the one that makes coal. Okay, it's already got 2 people working. And putting logs was the good choice, because that does make coal. Charcoal furnace, though. Maybe I should stop having copper made for a minute, too. The ore furnace keeps this warm, so I'll leave it. Let me move this forage thing. Be right there. Then I think... Oh, I need to move it even a little more. Then it can reach the bushes. All the way. And forage those berries. Do I set like... That sources, and the fuel would probably be in... Which one of these has fuel in it? Maybe I just don't have fuel. I'm gonna pause on that, yeah. And just have this going and making fuel. Maybe I should make another charcoal furnace as well. Okay. And this is still researching that big project, which is taking a lot of planks. What's this? Pathing problems. One or more whiskers cannot reach their destination. What did I block? Who is stuck? I don't see anyone. Oh, they're stuck. Okay, I need to... How do I go about moving that? Yes, I can't. Let me add stairs, like right here. Um, do that, and then F. There. Oh, they poofed. Uh-oh. Okay, I gotta switch playlists. This is all like... Uh-oh, people are mad over there. I'll keep that person working. Damn. I really need more fuel. person working there. That logistics worker will go move ship between locations now. And okay. Is that full? Ooh, it is. Okay, I need another storage then. Which um do that and that. And I need to put paths then so they can even get to that though. There. No available whiskers. Oh, no builders. Crap. Okay. They don't have a storage destination. Well, they're gonna be done for a little bit then and be workers. Builders. I'm gonna have them stop mining for a bit. Maybe I'll make another one of those actually. Make more fuel. Beaver, coppersmith. I don't know why I would need scissors though. But then like part of me feels like then I must need it. A coppersmith, right. I want to have all of this in the same little district. And stairs. Okay. And I can afford to have some bad days. Because everyone otherwise is doing pretty well. Especially compared to my last playthrough. Or my last attempt on normal difficulty. There's this forage, like, booth, too. No one's sick, so I'm not going to have them getting wasted in there. Whisker ship arrived. Okay, so this has different new whiskers, which are the mice, that I can choose to have move in. Now, when I look at this, I'm looking at their, like, guild they're in. I'm looking at their traits under their name. And then, like, this that says apprentice. For certain careers or, like, crafting things, you have to have, like, an apprentice or an educator working in that building for them to be able to function at all. So I don't really need. Ooh, feel like re-rolling this. I'm going to. Compassionate with strong shoulders. This is unsafe workers. Do so this one can be in guild industries, highly productive industrialists and craftsmen, except for that one. And I think this inquisitive one, well, learns faster at school. Apprentice wears out industrial machinery faster. Ugh. Weak knees. More likely to get hurt. Loner. Unhappy sharing a home with others. Tough shit. Only have so much space on this island. Thickly, less resistant to cold and illness. I think I just welcome one. The farmer in culinary arts, but a pessimist, which means chances to double the effect of negative thoughts. Yeah, I'm not doing that. Um, Mining and refining. I'll accept this one, I'll refuse the rest. Okay, because I can take that person, and I just started building that other, this coppersmith. I'm gonna need more people, or more mice. This is going. Charcoal furnace. Ooh, supplier. Let's see if they have a shipment of fuel. That would be perfect right now. Oh, of course not. All right. Well, I'm going to select this one because it's not too pricey this time, but it has heavier duty cloaks in it, which will help my mice with the cold. Uh-oh. I need a house to build a house. I will place that. Um, um, like row house. Put one of those right here. I only needed one more house. I'll just do that one. And also, though, because it's winter, I need to set that as high priority. Get built. Oh, I don't have enough fuel. I'll place that right there for now. Hopefully someone builds it, because then I can just click logs at least to add to it. Let me manual save as well. I forgot I hadn't done that in hours earlier. Man, they're all cold. This is so messed up. Is that a destination for this fuel? Ew. Go where? Well, I don't think it really matters. I just don't think I have enough fuel in general. Oh, wait. Okay, well, one of them got fuel. Maybe I do need to build another one of those thingies. The factories. Charcoal furnace. Makes fuel, but also causes pollution. So I try to have these off in their own little area. I do that. This up, and I'll put a path right here because I try to prevent like direct exposure. I don't want it like right next to the houses and stuff. We'll see. Of course, they didn't build a home right away, so that's not good. Oh, and mice are sick. Getting through this winter is tough. I wonder if any of my mice are gonna die. Oh my god, is that it? Winter's done? Oh my god, it's spring. Yay. Okay. Disable. Disable. And I'll leave them up so that next winter I'm not scrambling. And that must be an easy mode thing, because on normal, winter was not that fast. So, whoops. Rid of that fire. That's disabled. I disable that one, yep. Turn this around and disable that fire. Disable that one, disable that one. And I don't even need to build this one now. All right, and a bunch of them now can be taken out of the fire tender buildings. There's the other over here. Farm your fire tenders. Oh, that's way easier. I didn't realize I could do that. Put them in that. Okay. Now I have a bunch of mice again that can do other jobs. Like I'll go up to this farm. Got a loner. Another farmer. Woodcutter has enough. I'm gonna kind of put people that are actually equipped for those jobs in those positions now. All right. I need there. Got a coppersmith to work there. Working there now. And I can assign another work there. Another fisher. What another netter? Yeah. Damn. Okay. Farmers Guild. Culinary arts. Okay, yeah. If I had another farmer, I would set them, but meh. What else do I have open? The sawmill. And what else? Well, actually, yeah, I'll set someone to work there. That's good still. This could have one more person. I feel like I had Okay, no, I kept woodcutters working. And then I think I've got a good amount of workers going. Woven cloaks suck. Is there like a new... How far am I in researching this? Oof. Not far at all. How do I even... Based on logistics requests. Huh. There are no logistics requests, though. Like, there are definitely enough copper bars for this to be getting... Oh, that's the wrong house. For this to be getting done. Okay, well, at least it's not winter anymore. So yeah, this is the little area that I'm in. Kind of random. There's my stuff. Oh, tax collector. So, I will give them... Thought I had some of that gold, like those thingies, but I guess not. Oh, this is a smuggler I can sell to. No. Claws visages.
We claws are a humble race. We rarely make such
Where?
uncouth demands.
You. Some coal. Logs. Berries. Honestly, I have so much cotton, I'll just send more of that. Ooh, not the food. Full shipment. Alright. And then everything I think is moving in a smoother pace. A whisker ship. Alright, healthy, compassionate. Else. Healthy. Or thoughtful. Yeah, they're just running around. Like to have positive and negative thoughts. I don't want to get too many because I can't keep up with feeding everyone. Gift supply of fuel would be good. Then I should be a little ahead for next winter as well. Ooh, I need to build another house too. Supplier. That. And another home. Which... Huh. Where can I put this freaking house? Yes, right there. And I'll put a path right in front of it. And then for decorations, what are you doing though, Tack? Masonry. What the heck? Donut set, nice. Honestly, I need to do that. I don't know. I went live because I wanted to play this, but I don't know. I think I can. At least the research lab is coming along. Okay, I don't need to set high priority there. You got it. Yeah. Supplies. That one. Once this finishes researching, I will be able to do so much more. Maybe I should make another furnace too. These. There, now I have enough houses. Might want to up your mic volume or decrease my music. Oh shit. My bad. There. Hopefully that's better. If I bring an ore furnace over here. Trees. If I place this right here. Then they all go to eat at the end of the day. Get new clothes out of the warehouse. Yeah. And everything is accepted by that main warehouse. Nope. It's literally just trying to like make the mice survive, providing enough food and resources to keep expanding while also like having them not be miserable. Yeah, I have it on ×3, like fast forward speed too. They look wild because they're zooming along. Ship is idle. Can't find anything to get. Woodcutters? Ooh. Okay. Moss and that's a lot of trees. Let me do path, long stairs. And do mm, and I feel like I could move this over here as well. Just to be like that. There. Now they'll all work on these trees, and then this will all end up being farmland. And then eventually I would like to get it so that, like, these rocky little islands are where all of the ore smelting and stuff is, so all the pollution is off on a different island, but for now this is gonna have to do. I need another apprentice mouse as well, I guess. Hmm. Islands requires 2 raft docks to function, but I feel like they're gonna be able to get insured on there. I really want to unlock the second chunk. Where did I place an apprentice? Not there. You have no storage left? Okay. Everything is full. There's got to be someone I can also teach them to be another apprentice. Whisker's dealing with a severe injury or illness. Must be treated at a triage building. Treatment is slow. That must have been from earlier and I didn't click it. Where do I have an apprentice working that I don't need one? The craftsmaster. It's a farm, but they have no storage, like, access as well. Okay. Need to make another small warehouse. I'll put it right here. And from here, I will get... I'll get the smallest shipment. Because I really don't need all that. Okay, hopefully one of these is an apprentice. Oh. Oh, hell yeah. Apprentice, but weak. That's fine. Considerate and slow. Ooh. Just that one. And I should have enough housing because I'd already made one of the buildings, like the 2 occupant one, boathouse or whatever. Oh, I have a piece of old flooring right there. And I don't need these leading up here anymore. Since I moved those wood cutters, go work on that other island area. I think I'll leave access up to this though, because this can also have farmland on it now. Same with that area. Get the coppersmith going. None of my mice have died. That's good. Yeah, I'll make another thing of baths. As well. And then no builders. Crap. Is this full already? Oh my god, it is. The little slide. And then there's still this over here. It's getting built up, and all these trees will be good. Try to make this whole area start, like, get to a point where I can get all my wood from over there. Dang, both of those are full too. This right here. Just have all of that on the dock like that. I just want to provide as close storage as possible so they're not having to walk across the entire bridge. They just walk over at the beginning of each day. Huh. Okay, what's this? Oh, a smuggler. Do it. Oh, I won't give them any fuel. They barely pay shit for that. Just one. That'll help me pay my taxes. Supplies, tea, fine tea. Ooh, that's a lot of money. The middle one, because that is a 1,000 is a lot. I don't even know how much income I have, like money I have right now. Okay, let me get a reroll. Apprentice gifted. Ooh, that's a good one. And don't expect as much for themselves, but grows incredibly sad at the death of others. That one. Okay. I do need another home now. I'll put this. And I keep trying to put them all by each other. Put it right there and prepare by building 2 of them. Then I'll try to leave room for more of those. Decorations. Uh, that. And then these over here. I want to know where those things I'm supposed to build are, but that's cute. And another trellis. Cute. But that little neighborhood is fenced in all cute. Um, my gate, barrels, crates, bench. That's cute. Ooh, planters, bushes, stone wall. Um, ooh, I don't have planks even down right here. There's a lot of planks there, but oh well. Get some more decor. Put one of these. Ooh, that's not the one I wanted. Nor is that. Or neither is that. Not nor. Nor. Put that there. Those. Ew. Okay. A bush. Mm, trying to make things look nicer for my little mice. I'll put that, that. Uh, wish I had more decor. But what can you do, I guess? Stone wall. Whoa. Mhm. This playlist is so random and all over the freaking place. All right. You know what? I feel kind of poopy. I'm tired, so I'm not going to push it. I had a good day of therapy today, so I think it just took it out of me. But goodbye. Sorry for the short stream. Thank you for hanging out for the little bit.